Hey there, this is Ron Pereira, and I'd like to welcome you back. So I am here at the AME conference in Jacksonville, Florida, and where we are Drew Locher.
Yep.
Drew,
how are you, Ron? Thanks for having me today.
All right, thank you for coming. So what we're going to do here is we're obviously making a video, and you're watching a video if you're watching it, but we're also going to convert it into a podcast. So perhaps you're listening, and if you are listening and you want to see the video, just head over to the blog, and you'll be able to find it there. So, Drew, let's just start by why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what you're up to these days?
Well, my background goes back to the 1980s, Ron. I kind of grew up in General Electric in one of their corporate management development programs.
Okay.
And that's where I got introduced to most of these concepts. Back then, predates the word lean.
Yeah.
So it was called world-class enterprise back then.
Okay. Okay. So how did you get into lean then? What was your...
Well, times change, the terms change, but the underlying concepts don't. So just as the times change, you have to just change the terminology.
Sure.
So world-class turned into total quality management, which over time turned into lean.
Yeah.
And the lean terminology is sticking.
Yeah.
Which tells me maybe we're finished finally with just coming up with new terms.
Yeah.
And we can get on with it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so the first thing that we like to do, Drew, is have our guests kind of share a quotation that I don't know if it inspires you or moves you or you like or that you use on a regular basis. So do you have anything in mind?
I do. It comes from Pogo comic strip.
Okay.
Do you know Pogo comic strip?
I do.
You do, really. I don't know if it's still in existence, but it's the certainty of misery is better than the misery of uncertainty.
Ah.
The certainty of misery is better than the misery of uncertainty.
So what does that mean to you?
Well, what it means is as uncomfortable or displeased people could be with their current situation, the idea of going to something different is less comfortable for them. So it really gets into the whole change management or people's resistance to change.
All right. So what we're going to talk about here today, Drew, in this first interview, we're going to do a second one on all of your work on value stream mapping. But before that, I want you to, you sold yourself short there because you wrote or co-authored a book. It's one of the first books that I ever bought on value stream mapping. So first of all, thank you for writing this.
Thank you for reading it.
My book is all not as clean as this. It's got highlighter and notes all over it.
Excellent. That's what we like to see.
Yeah, I use the daylights out of it. So tell us about your other books here, Chris, quickly, and we have them. We'll go ahead and cut them up on a video. But
the first book was on value stream mapping for administrative office service processes, and that kind of provides the high level. How do we apply lean to those? So it's the key concepts of value, flow, pull, leveling. What we learned as the years went on, people needed a little more help. So that's where another book came out, Lean Office and Service Simplify, which has a how. It's like the how-to guide.
Yeah.
So it has entire chapters on standardized work for the office and service. It has chapters on visual management, flow, pull. So it provides people a little more how-to.
Okay.
Which seems like they need.
Yeah. Okay. And you got some other ones as well?
Yeah. The second book was Value Stream Mapping for Lean Development. If you've read Lean Thinking, I'm sure, Ron.
Yeah.
So there was 3 primary value streams that Jim Womack and Dan Jones identified. One being problem solving, and that gets into the whole product development. So that's what that book was intended, was to help folks with their development processes. How do we redesign them based on lean principles?
Okay.
So that's what that book was for. And then the last book, the most recent one, shouldn't say last, is Unleashing the Power of 3P. Which is really a creative improvement methodology, and actually an innovative methodology. And there was no other 3P books out there. And another colleague of mine wrote kind of a workbook for it. And this is a storybook, which the intent of kind of generating interest. It's a storybook, it reads easily, has a happy ending.
I haven't read this one. I definitely want to read it. So do you get into the whole like moonshining and all this kind of stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. All in a story context, which was kind of interesting because the first 3
it's like
books
a novel?
were not story. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it has a happy ending. So
Okay.
I like happy endings.
Plant manager's wife mad at him or anything like that?
At some point, maybe.
Okay.
At some point. I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, okay. It all turns out well, okay.
But it is a happy ending.
All right, good. All right, so what we're going to talk about here then, kind of the heart of the interview is lean culture. And it's something that we're actually spending a lot of time on. Again, the Academy, so I'm really curious to pick your brain on a few things. So specifically, I want to talk about the importance of kind of the method and the coaching and how you kind of put this into practice. So the first thing, though, let's just talk about the method. So what do you do? What's the approach that we should take to really start thinking about developing a lean culture?
Well, first, let's define what we mean by a lean culture. So
Okay.
it's a culture for continuous improvement, right?
Yeah.
Where we're engaging all associates in problem solving and process improvement.
Okay.
So if we agree on that, then
Yeah.
we can talk about method.
Yeah.
So every organization needs a method or methods of improvement.
Yeah.
Problem solving and improvement. So whatever it is, Six Sigma, it could be DMAIC, it can
Yeah.
be 7-step, it could be 8D, as Toyota uses as one of their methods. It could be A3s as a method. But every organization needs some standard methods.
Yeah.
And then people can be trained and they'd be given the opportunity to apply those methods over and over again.
Okay. Okay. Coaching. How do you do that?
None of us learn this out of a book. None of us learn
Yeah.
this go into a class. We all need help.
Yeah.
Growing up in GE, I always had mentors, local mentors, corporate mentors. And their role was to help us learn these concepts and put them into practice, all of them.
Yeah.
Our management systems and everything. So I always thought that's the way to learn. Everyone needs a little help.
Yeah.
And typically that help should come from your boss, your direct manager, assuming that they have had experience and knowledge of the methodology. So assuming that, your boss should be helping you along. Your direct manager should be helping you along in applying the methodology, using the tools that go along with that methodology, and providing the opportunity to practice it.
Yeah.
And opportunities, because everyone needs multiple opportunities to really learn this and develop the requisite skills and the belief that, hey, these things work.
Sure. So what are some do's and don'ts in coaching, though? I mean, because it's easy to say, but obviously much harder to do.
The most difficult thing for leaders in coaching is that they want to give an answer. They want
Yeah.
to be directive.
Yeah.
They need to provide a direction, but that doesn't mean give them step by step how to do something.
Yeah.
Because if they do that, then what they are doing is transferring the ownership of the process and the solution to, or they're maintaining it. The manager is maintaining that ownership. And we want to make sure that the problem solver takes ownership. So they have to practice the Socratic method, ask questions that are not leading the witness kind of questions,
Sure.
which is typically the way it works when they start. They already know the answer in their head, and so it's almost like they have to kind of give up control of this process, and that's very unsettling for managers. If you look up in the dictionary, management has the word control, and it's somewhere in the definition.
Yeah.
So to give that kind of control up is not easy.
Yeah.
So they need to guide people through whatever the methodology is and the tools without actually being directive. That's not easy. For me, when I was learning this, part of my corporate management program at GE, we moved from position to position.
Okay.
So there was no way I knew how to do what needed to be done. I didn't have the time to learn everything that my team members had, that knowledge and experience. So all I had was method. That's what we were taught. And so I would kind of give people or educate people in the method and help guide them through that time and time again until they became good problem solvers and process improvement people.
Yeah.
And the key is that at that point, they could take that with them the rest of their lives in any position that they ever held.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you have a method and you get some good coaching in place, but obviously you got to, I guess, put this into practice, which is the third thing that you pointed out.
Practice, practice, practice. And I think this is another very common pitfall. I have conversations with leaders and they say, well, I don't understand why we're not changing the culture.
Yeah.
So well, describe to me what you've been doing. And, we had everyone go through a project.
Yeah.
A single project.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you think that's sufficient to teach people the methodology and also to develop the habit for change?
Yeah.
And the attitudes that you're looking for. You want people to be enthusiastic about all this. None of that's going to happen with one opportunity to practice.
Yeah.
It comes with multiple multiple opportunities. Talk about making change a habit. Well, we know it takes to make a habit, anywhere from 17 to 27 iterations based on the nature of what it is you're trying to learn. So too often leaders think 1, 2, 3 opportunities to apply, everyone should quote unquote get it.
Yeah.
And that's just unreasonable.
What's your thoughts on the difference between, let's say, a more project-based approach to continuous improvement versus, and when I say project, maybe longer term type project, it might take 2-3 months to kind of finish this project, pretty big project, versus, this kind of, I don't know, what simple Kaizen is a term we've used before, everyday improvement, that kind of thing. With the spirit, with the idea of creating this culture, can you do it with both? And
you can do it with both, but you certainly cannot do it with solely the episodic or event-based approach or project-based approach. Because the opportunities to practice, it's insufficient.
Limited.
Plus the time between them is lengthy. It could take years for someone to really just start to develop the habit.
I guess
and
you
the skills.
subscribe then to the everyday continuous improvement mindset.
Smaller, more frequent PDCA cycles. And this was something I learned, and colleagues of mine criticized up into the mid-90s. I was kind of stubborn about this. They would criticize me that I was pushing too hard, too fast with larger scale change. And what I realized was that you can make one large change, but that's still one change cycle. Where if you do 3 smaller changes, that's 3 change cycles. Your likelihood to change again is much better with the 4, albeit small changes, versus the 1 large change. So in terms of creating the problem-solving muscle, making change a habit, getting people more embracing change, there's no other way to do it but in quick, rapid PDCA cycles.
So what's your advice to someone that maybe they want to get better at this, or they want to learn more? Are there, I don't know, books, or obviously we've covered some of this type of discussion in Gemba Academy, but what tips do you have for folks out there if they want to call you? Or
I always say the best thing you can do is go practice. So just pick a problem, pick a methodology. People like A3s, use A3s. And when I do something else, you can do something else. And then just start walking through that. But that methodology, solving real problems. And don't pick a big problem. Pick something small. Something you could affect in a couple weeks maybe. What's missing then is the coaching piece. And to be self-taught is not necessarily a bad thing. But you can get very frustrated very quickly, and maybe that causes you to just stop. But 2, I have to admit, and this might not come across well, but a little information can be dangerous with a lot of people. I've seen people just misunderstand the most basic concepts of like standardized work, 5S. I mean, it's amazing to me how people misunderstand that. What should be a pretty basic concept. So, the self-teaching, I think, is a good thing, but you got to make sure maybe you're checking with some people and getting some other inputs.
Which is back to that coaching. So if you don't have it inside, maybe you have to go outside for a bit, right?
Yeah, I agree. Everyone needs help.
I
didn't self-teach. I had people teaching me.
Right. All right. So let's go ahead and now transition into what we call the Quickfire. So this basically what we do in this section, Drew, is you share your thoughts and wisdom, what you've been doing, but now we're gonna really drill in on Drew, and so you're gonna talk about yourself, what you think about some specific topics. All right.
Okay.
So the first one is, as you know, we Lean Thinkers spend a lot of time talking about respect for people, continuous improvement, respect for people, and respect for people. But sometimes it just becomes 3 words that we say. And it's really hard to put your finger on what does that exactly mean to respect people. So what does it mean to you?
It is a deep subject, and it's not something you can answer just with a single statement or single sentence. I think very basically, just treating people the way you would want to be treated. So, several examples, fairly. People want to be treated fairly. So if we're not treating people fairly, that's disrespectful. Respecting people's time. If we're not doing that, people are smart. If they're using processes that are not as effective and they're creating quality problems, they're going to get frustrated.
Yeah.
And if leaders do not respond to help them save that time, that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of layers to respect. Being honest and upfront to people, taking advantage or valuing their time, their opinions.
Yeah.
That's all part of it.
Yeah.
But just basically treating people in a fair way.
Yeah.
And meeting their needs, treating them as individuals. 'Cause
Yeah.
we are individuals.
Yeah.
Communicating to them, sharing information,
Yeah.
which shows that we want them to understand, is respectful.
Yeah.
I have leaders tell me, oh, they don't care about that, and I just want to come in and get a paycheck. And I always turn around and say, then you don't understand humans, because it's
Yeah.
respect for people is a fourth level need of humans,
Sure.
per Abraham Maslow.
Yeah.
So that just tells me they don't understand humans.
Yeah.
Now you have to fulfill the other needs before we get to the R word
Yeah.
of respect, which is important. But I agree. People kind of talk a lot about the word, but when you probe a little bit and you ask some questions, they don't understand the layers
Yeah.
to it.
Exactly. Okay. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I've ever received is you don't know all the answers as a leader, nor should you expect to, because if you had all the knowledge of the world, your head would explode. So you don't need to know the answers, you need to know the questions. I was taught that at a young, impressionable age at GE.
Yeah.
Probably 1985.
Yeah. All right. All right. What about a personal productivity habit? Do you have one that others might benefit from?
I don't know if it's personal productivity, but I think it does save time. I respond to all phone calls, emails within 24 hours, so it's fresh. If I can't get back with an actual answer, I'll just still respond and say, I'll get to you by the end of the week. So it kind of keeps fresh. I don't let these things fester, and then you're trying to remember what that email was about, because usually these emails are coming in based on some other conversation or someone I met at a class or something like that. So doing things as current as possible, I think, actually saves you time.
Yeah.
Not let it fester, sit around.
So this next question is always tough for you authors, but if you could recommend maybe a book, maybe it's more than one book. Sometimes it's hard to give just one, but for someone that perhaps they're getting started with lean, but perhaps not. Perhaps let's maybe break it up, and someone that's new, kind of just getting started. Maybe somebody that's they've been practicing it for a while and you just need to take it to the next level, and perhaps they're a leader of people. So maybe kind of 3 levels of folks there. How would you, what books would you recommend?
That is a difficult question.
Yeah, and all your author friends are watching this right now, and they're like, he's going to say my name?
So, good point.
Or they're listening.
It's a difficult question because it's who the other person is and their need.
Yeah.
So if they're a CEO, we have to suggest very short books.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I recommend Art Burns' Lean Turnaround. It's like 90 pages long. It has the credibility of a CEO.
Yeah.
And all that Art has done over the years. So that's what I would recommend for them. For a newbie, someone who's new, not a CEO, I'm not really sure. I don't have an answer for that one.
Oh,
what do you recommend?
Well, I tell you my personal story. I like many people, read The Goal. It's not really. It's more TOC, Theory of Constraints.
I don't see much difference between the two. It's a great book. It's a story book.
Yeah,
it has a happy ending also.
That's important. That's the wife and the husband.
I still agree with The Goal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That and there's some other easy one. All the Michael Ballet books, I think are great. He kind of goes through a series of novels as well. Kind of talking about. I do like the novel format. That's why I'm really interested in reading your newest 3P book there.
It's a lot easier to write a novel. You don't have to be as factual accurately.
Well, I think what's also important about those, not to digress here, but what you just said earlier about the humanness, the human side of improvement. this is hard to do when you're writing this, no percent complete and accurate. Is it process?
How to,
I mean,
yes.
So it's important, right? That's the technical side of it. But what do you do when someone says, "This is stupid. Why am I doing that? Where is that?" But in a novel, you can kind of bake that in, right? You can tell stories and conflict and drama, and I think that's why so many people are drawn to them, is that they can relate. They've been in that situation.
Oh, I agree.
So
absolutely agree.
Yeah. So I guess
it's easy to read, and they can relate to it.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. All right. So last question I have for you, Drew, is a scenario. So you decided to kind of get back into industry, and you've been hired as the kind of general manager. You're running this facility, and the CEO that hired you, they've given you complete control, profit and loss, everything. I mean, it's your baby to run.
Okay.
And so that's good. The problem is, company's a bit of a mess. The morale's pretty bad, quality's bad, productivity's bad, just lots of red on the various dashboards that they have posted around the war room there, okay?
Okay.
So that's the bad side. The other bad...
The bank's not knocking on the door.
No, yeah, good product, they sell,
I got to know, because I used to do crisis management. In
Yeah,
the early
no.
90s.
I mean, the doors aren't going to shut,
Good,
within the
right.
next, 3 to 6 months, but maybe after that, I get a little precarious. No, just, but the biggest problem that you have, though, is that the leadership team that you've inherited, they're just not bought in. They know that you're this lean thinking guy and written all these books, and former GE guy, and they're just not bought into to this way of thinking. And so you come to realize that's one of your biggest challenges right out of the gate. So what are you going to do, and why?
Well, first, with anyone, you have to give them purpose. Why, and a compelling reason why we need to change. So I would just start at the basics. It's basic change management. What is our purpose as an organization, and it should be an inspirational purpose, and why these people are working there. And if we can't articulate that very well, we're probably screwed from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then the compelling reason why we've got to change.
Yeah.
And if we can't provide that, then I can't expect people to change. I mean, people don't change for the sake of change.
Yeah.
So we've got to give them a reason. So starting with that, I do believe in the innate goodness of humans. I also believe that what we are asking organizations to do at Lean, there's a basic human need for it. So if we can give them that purpose, inspirational purpose, we can give them the compelling reason to change, most of the people will start to align to that, get excited, and get behind it. Humans rally around causes, they rally around challenges. And those that do not are going to show themselves pretty clearly. But that's where I would start.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Probably not exciting.
No.
Ooh, let's do Kaizen events. That would come shortly after.
Yeah.
I think an event type approach is helpful to kind of jumpstart. People can see change can happen quickly.
Yeah.
I don't think you can solely depend on event type improvement, but I think
get
it is
some
a good
wins
jump
under your
start.
belt, get a little momentum. Yep.
Yeah, so that's probably would be my second stage
After
there.
you subscribe to Gimba Academy, so everybody could...
I gave everyone training, yes, of course.
Yeah. All right. Very
Education through doing is probably the
There
best.
you go. There you go. All right. Well, let's wrap up with, Drew, why don't you share maybe some final words of wisdom for the folks watching and listening, and then tell people how they can connect with you.
Okay.
Website, social media, whatever you got.
The whole term of culture, people kind of banter about, and what does it really mean? It means changing the way you think, act, interact, make decisions, communicate. So it's not easy. But I think leaders have to understand that leaders define culture, not the general populace. It's leaders that define culture. So when leaders call me up and say, I'm having problems with my culture, I can't seem to change a culture, the first thing I usually say after a lot of questions is, look in the mirror. How have you changed your actions and behaviors and just the way you make decisions and communicate and interact with others?
Yeah, I found the problem, he is I, right? Yeah.
Yeah, us as them. I've done that at companies, like traipse through, are you them, are you them? And then we come back and find a mirror and say, ooh, them is us.
Yeah.
So, I'm easy to get a hold of. I have a website, CMA for Results, the letter CMA, the number 4results.com.
Okay.
And there's a lot of information on the website. I believe in sharing, so there's articles, newsletters, case studies, all out there. And I'm on Twitter, @Drew Locher. DrewLocher, all one word. Also on LinkedIn, I would assume it's Drew Locher also. I don't remember actually.
Okay. Well, they can see what you look like, and they'll look at your little picture. And
So
make sure it's
pretty easy to get a hold of.
Okay.
Just Google me.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.